Hello, everyone. My name is Vincent Valdez, and I have helped over 100 people lose weight and reach their goals, their weight loss goals, as well as their fitness goals. And today I want to talk about the number one thing that keeps people from committing to their goals and not allowing anything to distract them or keep them from reaching their weight loss goals. And then I'll go into the steps that I give people to help them continue on their weight loss journey and eventually reach that goal. And so the number one problem that I see that I've seen in myself, but also in a lot of people that come to me is your identity. So your identity is the things that um, who you think you are, right? Like I am the type of person that works out every day. That's my identity. I am the type of person that fasts, that helps other people lose weight. So I'm tied to or linked to a lot of these different things that I say that I am. And I'm tied to things that could be negative. Like those are all beneficial things. So it could be, I am the type of person that drinks occasionally. I am the type of person that once I start eating, I can't stop. That's something I used to say about myself. I am the type of person that can't lose weight, right? So there's a lot of these little negative things that we say about ourselves that aren't true. They're just, we've done them long enough that they're true right now in the moment, right? But it's not who I am. It's just an identity, and identities can change. And whatever we say we are and continue to show with repetition is what our identity will take on. So since I'm somebody that does work out every day, even though in the past I was somebody that didn't work out at all. But I've shown over time, over the last couple of years, that I work out every day and that I've repeatedly done that day after day, that it's now taken the form of my identity. And so what I see people struggling with is that they're trying to remove this old identity or turn into this new person, but yet they're holding on to a lot of the things that who they used to be, or holding on to things that are going to get in the way of them becoming a brand new person. And that could be fear, like scared of what other people would think, scared of who am I going to be? Am I going to have any friends? Am I going to have to get new friends? A lot of these things that go on our head that we don't really put a lot of thought into. It's just things that, are almost like automatic ways of thinking to kind of protect us from being hurt or getting into situations that we shouldn't be in, right? And it's kind of silly to think that way because there's really nothing that can go wrong from you changing, but for some reason we have these little mental blocks that keep us from becoming somebody new. And so I'm going to go through the steps that I've helped myself, but also hundreds of people that I've worked with in the last 12 months. And the first step is getting over the fear of what other people will think or what they might say, their reactions to you saying no to the activities that are keeping you from our goals. So before we reach our goals, there's always something in the way. There's something that needs to be removed, taken away, that we're allowing in at the time, at the moment, that's keeping us from our goals. And when we eliminate that thing, a lot of times there's people associated with that activity that we partake in, activities that we partake in, there's people that do it with us, right? They're also associated with that activity. So for example, if it's every weekend I go out and eat at this restaurant, I'm gonna have to start saying no to that because I tend to overeat. I eat the type of foods I shouldn't be eating. I start drinking or whatever the activity is. I'm going to have to now worry about what are the reactions going to be when I say no. When I say no to my friends or my family that I can't go to this place or I can't hang out with them when they go out and drink or when they go and eat at this restaurant. What is a reaction or what are they going to think of me now that all of a sudden I'm saying no? And then I have to explain to them That's another thing I don't want to think about is explaining all of this detail of wanting to change. I just want them to accept it and say, okay, but that's not going to happen. There's going to be a reaction, questions, and more leading up to that you don't want to deal with. And so instead of telling them no, you just say, I don't want to deal with that. I'm just going to say, okay, and go. And then I'll do my best to limit myself. I'll be fine. And it never turns out that way. It always turns out to you doing the same things, all because you feared the reaction and then the questioning after to come or what they would think, right? And so we first have to get over that fear. So, number one is understanding that there's going to be a reaction to the people who are used to the identity that you're in. And they're going to start questioning, like, why are you changing all of a sudden? What's going on? And it's just you wanting to become a new person, you wanting to be different. And they're either going to support you in that and encourage you, or they're really not a true friend and they're going to try to influence you to do something different, to try to stay the same. So, step number one is getting over that fear and being okay with whatever their reactions are, whatever they think, that's fine. It's nothing to do with me. It's just their problem that they have to deal with, right? And so, getting over that fear is number one. Number two, spend some time thinking about the negative associations with the activity. So, for example, for me, I was somebody who would drink on the weekends. I would only see the positive things that were associated with that, the fun, the friends, how I felt, um, and just like all of the positive things, right? But then as I took a step back and decided to stop doing that, I was able to start thinking of all the negative associations I had with it. Like all the negative things that are associated with that activity of drinking every weekend is being set back, starting at the beginning of the week again with at the same weight or feeling like crap, not wanting to work out because of what I decided to do on the weekend. Um, it's the how I felt the next day, not the night of, right? Because that's a great feeling, but the next day, the hangover, you're just never at your best. It just takes from you and doesn't give you anything in return. There's always an equal or greater um, low that it's going to take from you. So, for example, I get this high on the weekend, then the next day I have this low that matches that high, if not even more. It's more of a low, right? And I have this week in the beginning where I have this super low. And then as it gets closer towards the weekend, I'm starting to get this high again of, oh, I'm going to go out and have fun and be with friends and party and stuff. And so I'd always have this up and down throughout my weeks. And I would never have this like consistency and this level of just feeling good without needing anything outside of myself, right? And what I mean by that is just outside of like needing to always consume stuff to feel good or to be happy or to have a good time. And so I started to see a lot of these negative things that were associated with it when I spent enough time away from it. My weekends were different. I felt like I had more time. I wasn't on this extreme low on the beginning of the week. Maybe my time with my friends changed or different friends now that I'm starting to hang out with and create different relationships, more positive relationships, and how these relationships were only because I was partaking in the same things that they were. Not all of them, but a lot. And so the first step is getting over the fear of the reaction. Second step is the positive and negative associations. And then the third step is going to be where it becomes natural to you, where you make decisions naturally based off of these negative and a positive associations, where now it's like no longer willpower. So this third step's not really going to be something that you have to force to happen. It's something that's going to naturally happen over time. And you'll know when you're there because when somebody asks you to partake in the activity that you've been saying no to, it's going to require no willpower. It's just going to feel like an automatic response of like, no, just because you've done it for a long enough period of time that you you just, it's automatic, right? It's just a natural thing to say no because it's not aligned with my goals. It's going to take me away. So you just do it for enough amount of time, and then it can happen very quick if you really take some time to think about the positive and negative associations, right? You think about, man, I feel so good right now without drinking alcohol. Every weekend, I feel amazing. And every beginning of the week, today's Monday, I feel amazing because I didn't self-sabotage. And then I think, man, imagine how I would have felt had I partaken in. So you just start thinking like that. And then it's like, dang, I'm at my goal. And that's going to be even better, right? I'm at my goal. I wouldn't have never been able to get here. Kept lying to myself, saying that I would. But I never would have gotten here had I stayed in that same environment doing the same activities. So you just make way more connections to um, way more connections for how you're living now and way less connections for why you should do the thing that you were doing that was keeping you from your goal. So these three steps have completely transformed a lot of the people that I've worked with as well as myself. And it's just removing thing that's in your way. It's making those negative and positive associations. And then it's then realizing that it's become natural because of the amount of time you spent thinking about those negative and positive associations and also committing to that. And over time, continuing to say no, that it no longer feels like willpower. It's just who you are now. It's this new person that you are. So hopefully that helps. And I think that's it. Done. Now I know you're going to reach your goals. There's nothing that can stop you now.